Okay, Peter, so I just wanted to talk today. I mean, very brief recap. Not in depth. I think that's been done in plenty of other places. Of Garcia v Campbell. I thought we saw the emergence of a real superstar there. I thought it was a good performance by Campbell. Don't forget we made a lot before the fight of his experience compared to Garcia's. And Garcia came in very heavy-handed, but he's got the speed with that power. That's the thing about him. And he came forward. Obviously, he said before he wasn't bothered about Campbell's punches. He looked like he was going to try and walk right through him. And then he got caught in the second round with that, really well executed from Campbell, right southpaw, right jab to the body. Then he came up with a little feint and then over the top with the left hook and put Garcia down. Garcia's up very quickly. He got through the round and then he sort of took charge again. And I think, that just showed the guy's only 22. So what a prospect, what an incredible prospect. And don't forget, obviously Campbell's been in with Linares, been in with Lomachenko. And, so you kind of expect that from a 22-year-old kid. He's going to make some mistakes. He's going to put his head up, back up, drop his hand. He gets hit on the chin. He's going to learn. And, he regrouped very quickly. And, I thought really showed maturity beyond his years to then just take complete charge of the fight after that knockdown. So and where the way he finished the fight as well was was a beautiful left hook to the body. It reminded me of when Hopkins defeated De La Hoya with that shot. It was just that beautiful left hook to the body, and Campbell couldn't get up. And so I think we saw the emergence of a real boxing superstar there. But like I said, this has probably been covered in other places. So what I wanted to talk about is how I watched that fight and what that means for boxing, in particular British boxing. So this fight was on DAZN. DAZN launched on December the 1st in the UK and in 200 other countries. And I just want to give you a brief history of DAZN, where they've come from, where they think they're going, and as I say, to tie in what it means for British boxing. So DAZN was started in 2015 in London. It was a spin-off from a couple of other companies, and they launched in 2016 in multiple countries, not in the UK. They launched in, I think, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and Japan in 2016. And they launched in the US slightly later, in Canada. And this was their big year. 2020 was their massive year when they were going to go for the big global rollout. Now, obviously, they're a company that essentially specializes in live sports. So that became a bit of a problem in 2020, as you'll remember, because live sport effectively stopped in March 2020. Their massive global rollout was set for May, so it didn't happen. So we had that bit of a stall. They also had a little bit of a fallout with Canelo, if you'll remember, through this Golden Boy contract. So it didn't look good for DAZN, who had signed Canelo to a £365 million deal, which then kind of fell through and ended up in court. So, things weren't looking great, but they regrouped slightly. And I think most companies had a little bit of a hiccup during COVID. Their global rollout came in December. They rolled out to 200 countries, including the UK. In December, and so now, and they're spearheading, as they did in the US, they're spearheading in the UK with boxing. So if you go onto DAZN, it's $1.99 a month. This is what I did this weekend. Just signed up, dead easy, $1.99 a month. You download the app, and then you've got this wonderful boxing content, very well packaged. I mean, a way to think of it, DAZN don't like you to say this in a way, but I think it's an easy explanation. They're kind of trying to be the Netflix of sport, the Netflix of live sport. Now, remember what Netflix did? They came along and they said, look, all you guys have kind of got it wrong. The world is moving on. We do not have schedules. Something is not on at 8 o'clock in the evening, and then you can maybe watch it on a watch again service. It's just all streamed. So everything is streamed. When we release series, it's all there at once. So you can binge watch it, or you can watch one at a time, whatever you want. But this is the new model. It's the new streaming model. And Netflix has obviously been phenomenally successful, and then has generated so much revenue through their subscription model that they now make their own content, and they don't charge you extra when you go and watch The Crown or watch a £200 million movie that Netflix have made. It's all done from that subscription model. DAZN are taking that same model and applying it to live sports. The first thing you've got to say is, obviously, the thing about the Netflix subscription model is you can watch The Crown anytime. You can watch a movie anytime. The beauty of sports is you want to watch it live. You want to see it there and then. You want to see it unfold in real time. So, maybe that's where the comparison with Netflix falls down a little bit. But essentially, that's what they're trying to do. And when you look at the app, it's very, very slick. The guy that designed BBC iPlayer, they poached in 2015 to design their app. And I've got to say, the ease of use is fantastic. The content is brilliant. I had no problem watching the fight, flicking it up on the TV screen. And then after that, I had the packaged highlights, I had commentary, I had all sorts of different things that I could look at. As a boxing fan, you know, it seems brilliant. It seems almost too good to be true. Like I say, it's $1.99 a month. There's a series of really great live fights coming up. Not only that, there's a depth in there as well, of historic fights going back up to 30 years that they've got all packaged with analysis for you. So, you know, it just looks like for a boxing fan at the moment, it's a no-brainer. $1.99 a month, you get all these live fights and you get all this in-depth analysis. You get all these, you know, these programs, original content programming as well, with documentaries coming up on Joshua, Triple G, and Canelo. Canelo, as we said, incidentally, I mentioned earlier about that spat with DAZN. It didn't seem to be with DAZN because he's now back on DAZN for his last fight against Callum Smith. And although it's not a you know, contracted multi-fight deal as it was last time, it's a per fight deal. But you know, he seems to be going down that route. So that, you know, that didn't, nothing seemed to come of that. DAZN are going to supersize, as they say, and they're using boxing as an in to get into the sports marketplace in all these countries, as they did successfully in the US. The reason they do that is because the rights to boxing are available and affordable. You know, obviously, if you want to buy the Premier League, which I'm sure is their ambition, you know, you've got to wait for a while. It's tied up in massive contracts. You're talking big money, and you're talking years to get the nod on that. But if you look at what they've done, for example, in Germany, they have bought the Bundesliga in Germany. They bought Series A in Italy. They've got in Japan. They've got Formula One. They call it supersizing. So they put this platform down. You know, they're starting off with boxing because it's an easy in, as they see it, with a lot of dedicated fans. And then after that, you start to supersize, you build up your sporting portfolio, and you end up with this, you know, you're the go-to place for sports, and you know, you've got this wide subscription model. So at the moment, as I've already said, it looks absolutely brilliant. You know, it's a fight fan's dream at the moment, you know, going on there, flicking through all the stuff you can get for this really paltry sum. So it's gonna really sort of shake up boxing, I think, in this country. And then you look as well at you know, what happened in America. One of the ways they got into America was they signed Matchroom USA. So Eddie got a $1 billion deal with DAZN. It's an initial 2-year deal, and if it goes on for the 6-year extension, which is in the contract after that, the deal will be $1 billion, which is boxing's first ever $1 billion deal. We always seem to mention Eddie every week on here about something he's done, but you know, that's notable to see that level of money and that level of investment and that level of forward thinking is coming into it. So that is going to be interesting as well, how that's going to play out in the UK when Eddie, who is very in bed with Sky and has done that through leveraging, you know, the whole Matchroom you know, panoply of sports that they run through Sky, how that's going to clash when DAZN really want to sort of open up and own boxing in the UK. The other thing to compare with Sky is we've obviously traditionally gone for the pay-per-view model over here. So when I watched Pulev Joshua last week, I had to pay £25 on Sky. And you know, the content and everything else, I would say, wasn't up to the standard of DAZN that they came in with this week. So, but you can see where your money's going when you pay that 25 quid, as we said before, on the pay-per-view model. 50% goes to the broadcaster, 50% goes to the promoter. When you're selling 100 million buys or something like the big fights are, you can see how these massive purses are generated. How DAZN are going to match those massive purses and keep these massive fights, you know, with this great portfolio they've got coming up, when, you know, you're asking $1.99 a month. I mean, you've got to cast a very wide net. And as we've already talked about the Netflix model, Netflix, you know, obviously don't charge for different content. It's just a subscription model. That's what DAZN say they're going to do at the moment, but where that's going to go, I don't know, because they have to cast that net hugely wide to generate the money to pay for particularly the big fights, you know, or will they sit with a kind of sub model, which I can't see. With DAZN's ambitions seem almost unmatched. I can't see them sitting underneath Sky and saying, Sky, you pay-per-view on the big fights, and we'll have everything else, the sort of, you know, the Championship League, if you like, and you have the Premiership. I can't see them doing that in boxing. So how it's going to play out, how the pricing model is going to play out, it's undoubtedly going to go up from $1.99 a month. But at the moment, you know, I think it's fantastic. I think it's going to be a revolution and an innovation in boxing to bring this streaming service through. It's a new way of watching boxing. They're packaging it very well. You know, I'm quite excited about it, and I think it's a brilliant development in British boxing. I think maybe people haven't got their head round yet, you know, as to how explosive and how revolutionary it's going to be. So, you know, I would say have a look at DAZN, see what's on there, and you know, what I hope is that people can look at this as a boxing fan, and you can say, this is brilliant. I'm not getting ripped off. I feel I'm getting, you know, intense value for money. As a fan, this is great because I've got depth. I haven't just got, they're not just showing me the fight and then the fight goes. They've shown me the fight, they're showing me the build up, they're showing me the programs, they're introducing me to the fighters, they're expanding on, what we used to have with, the gloves are off and all those sort of things, where you're actually getting to know the fighters and looking at their training and looking at talking to their trainers, looking at their camp, getting to know them and everything else. So they're taking all these innovations and really packaging them up, making them very accessible for fans. So as a fan now, I think it's a great innovation. Where it's going to go, I hope it's going to carry on in that vein, and I hope it kind of raises the standards that everybody has to come up to. Everybody has to think this is now where you need to be at to get the boxing fan, and this is the price point you need to be at to get the boxing fan, and this is what you expect, and this is what fight fans deserve. So I'm really glad they're coming in and using boxing, to really get into the UK and get the fighting fan base. And I think it's great for British boxing, and I think it's great for boxing. How it develops, we'll have to see. They've got huge ambitions, but I must say, I'm very impressed at the moment, and long may it last. Obviously, really devastated to hear, yesterday that the British Boxing Board of Control have suspended boxing in the UK in January, understandably due to the pandemic and the lockdown, and we'll just have to see where that goes. So that's a little bit of a setback, but other than that, we're still going to get plenty of content for DAZN and the international content, so we'll have to tuck into that for the next few weeks.